Thank you.
Live from the mighty Veedverks airship, I'm Travis Lippert, CEO of Verks Unlimited Limited, better known as Veedverks.
And I'm Julie Richardson. I'm the Director of Commercialization and Promotions, and we have with us today the beautiful Rachel.
Thank you.
Rachel Z. Ardanuy.
Yeah.
Why do you go by Z? Wait, I'm playing Dre Gaines in the background, by the way. Thanks for not suing us, Dre. Grassroot Greens in Oklahoma City. So is there another Rachel Ardanuy where you've got to do the Z?
No. I'm the only one. No, Zeitz was my maiden name, and so I was Rachael Z, and so I dropped my middle name and added my Zeitz as a middle name. So I'm just RZA. Yeah, nice. RZA legal. Yeah.
RZA legal.
Yeah. People love to remind me about how RZA,
Charlie,
the
what's
founder
up, Dre?
of the
Thanks for joining.
Wu-Tang Clan, and so I'm like, I know.
It's Dre Gaines.
He just joined us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
Dre, I want to do a song about the legal hemp industry in Oklahoma. It'd be like a cross between, it's like a country song, rap, but about a real life thing where they kept all these people in jail for all this time for transporting legal hemp across state lines.
It's gonna take a little while for everybody along the chain to figure it out. Local law enforcement, the federales. We don't have a lot of guidance right now, that's for sure.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, those guys we had a close connection to that with,
it's just too soon. Just like in the industry, we're going to have some bumps in the road in normalizing this industry, federal, level in other states where it's still seen as a crime. And, look in Colorado, the sky is not falling. We're doing something right here and it's spreading across the country, but we're just going to have bumps in the road. And unfortunately, these guys are going to have to, be the examples, it looks like. So, but I'm hopeful. We've got progress coming. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, the passage, we waited so long and we put so much hope on that farm bill passing.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like, okay, where are we now? What can we do now?
Yeah. And what we're hearing now is that now the holdup before was the farm bill. Right. Like, our specific goal, we are trying very purposefully to get our lotions into chain drugstores. We've been working on it for almost a year now, and the holdup was the farm bill. But now the new holdup is, we're going to wait and see what the FDA says.
Right.
And
we expect the government to, protect and provide safety nets, and as the government moves slow. These are like big institutions that are hard to get motion going on, and so it's just going to take its implementation. Yes, it was really an exciting day when the farm bill was passed, but part of that farm bill was that the 2014 farm bill is going to remain in place until we can get our act together under the 2018 farm bill. And then we had the history's longest government shutdown where no one did anything. Right after the bill was passed. Okay. So regulations weren't getting made. What the farm bill did is it said, USDA, you need to come up with regulations to make sure that there will be a way that people can get to become hemp farmers. So basically they're not treating it, even though they're saying they're treating it just like any other crop, really, there's regulations that are going to be involved, and we have to wait for the USDA to come out with those. And so there, as much as it did, I don't want to downplay that it did make hemp, not a controlled substance any longer. That is a goal. We made that goal, but it's a baby step, and it didn't do everything that we want it to do. And, the FDCA, we've got just a lot of moving parts. So, it seems like these days politics are just such a soap opera. And the new episode that just happened is the commissioner of the FDA, who was Congress wrote them a letter saying you need 10 days to give us guidance on these legal pathways you talked about. 10 days you have until you give us some guidance on what we can do to get into chain drugstores and see the fruits of your labor, for a company like yourself.
Yep.
And so
guess who just resigned?
Then he quit.
Yeah.
So now what? So that's the cliffhanger of the last episode that we're at right now, basically.
Yeah. We are documenting the end of prohibition.
We sure are.
I think we're going to do this. You know that we've done special stickers just for, different things. I don't have my refugee sticker anymore. I stuck it on the briefcase when I was going to the Capitol last week. I need to get that back. But anyway, I want to make a military ribbon type of sticker. Like that looks like a ribbon that you would put on a military uniform.
Oh, nice.
And like where people have a marksmanship ribbon, and they have all these campaign ribbons like Afghanistan or, Go for One or
Badge of Honor.
And I want to make a victory ribbon for the war on drugs, for the marijuana campaign. Like marijuana victory, because I feel it's inevitable. We are going to win, at least for cannabis. I think that we're going to free the plant, just in baby steps. But anyway, my point is I want to make that sticker that you can, just stick it on something that means something special to you, where it's like, boom, look at that. We just won weed.
I like it.
I'd like to get the count on how many people, like we get told all the time, oh, your stickers are all over my computer. Or
Nice.
I'll go, into somewhere and I'll see one of our stickers on something. I'm like, I wonder who put that there.
Yeah. I love to see our stickers in random places. I see incredible stickers all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
There's one it's like somebody tagged the back of a sign at this gas station on the way between home and work. And there's been this incredible sticker there forever. And I keep meaning to put a Veedverks sticker. In fact, I'm going to do that.
On the way home.
That's your goal today.
I'm going to do, on the way there. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to do that. Bob, I'm tagging next to you on the back of this sign. But I see those little green E stickers everywhere.
Well, you know a lot about pushing this legislation. You've been doing this for a long time, and you sit on a lot of the bar associations for cannabis and organizations for cannabis. And I mean, what's your gut feeling?
I'm hopeful, and we're seeing normalization and legalization and decriminalization, at least, spreading across the country, and not just at a regular clip. Like, it's happening exponentially. And as much movement as we've seen across the country last year, I think we're going to see twice as much this year, which is like, hold on to your hats. Like, I don't even know. So it's hard to even say what next year is going to look like, because I am very hopeful. People are becoming more engaged politically because of everything that's happening. And so, we're seeing a shift toward marijuana legalization. It's not really a partisan issue as much anymore. But it's going to take a little while. So I'm hopeful. And so, especially with hemp becoming an agricultural product like any other, it's has an amazing role to play in our industry, in our country. Right. It's definitely just, we've been deprived of that for 70 years. As Americans, and so I'm hopeful and excited for it, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys to see it happening.
Oh, yes, I'm so happy to have you.
Yeah.
On that, yesterday, part of the testimony.
Testimony about what?
About the opioid bill. What is that?
Senate Bill 2 or something like
that. Michelle Walker.
But the opioid bill would allow, to be informative here.
I'm sorry. The opioid bill would allow people to get a marijuana card for acute situations, like if you break your arm or your leg, you can go and get it for a short time.
Right.
Just like you would a pain management, if you had that happened, your doctor would give you pain meds.
Muscle relaxer or something.
Right.
Sure.
And so that's what we testified on yesterday. And Michelle Walker, and I'm sure you know who that is. That's our advocate for the autism bill, and so many wonderful things with the
Jimmy.
She's with Mama. But she brought up the fact that there were 6 other states that had legalized, that had already implemented this. This was part of, what was already in there. And Colorado is failing.
We're behind on
We are
that.
so behind. Whereas, Colorado should be the rock stars and the leaders,
Right, right.
So there's a lot of backtracking to do.
Absolutely. I'm really excited for our new governor, and I'm excited to see the laws that will benefit the industry pass. There's a mixed bag on how people feel about public money coming into the marijuana industry, but by and large, most of my clients want that to happen because of how marijuana companies are discriminated against and can't get business loans like a typical business would do. Right? Mm-hmm. So, it'll at least would open up for some sort of capital until the feds can do, something else. So, that's really exciting. We're seeing movement on this opioid issue, on what's the other one that we just saw? The last bill that we just saw as
we're fighting the vape bill.
Yeah,
We're fighting
House Bill 1076.
Yes. And then the autism
yes.
And
that is moving forward.
Yeah, it is moving forward.
Like it did last year, but last year's governor vetoed it.
Right.
They passed it last year, and Hickenlooper vetoed it. And
Same for public money.
And and then the feeling.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that was a vetoed bill.
I saw this Facebook post where John Hickenlooper, he wants you to ask him questions, and you go to his website and it's like, donate money, donate. I can't really figure out how I'm supposed to ask him questions, but former Governor Hickenlooper, you are cordially invited to come live on the Mighty Veedverks airship anytime of your choosing, because I want to ask you why you vetoed that autism bill last year. Like, the reason why we all thought it is because you had designs on being president of the United States, and somehow you thought that was going to work in your favor to veto that bill. But there are kids who've been suffering for an additional year now because of you. And I don't understand how you thought that was like the right political move, but
no,
you're more than welcome to come on.
Especially, with all the science that was brought up. It just tons and tons of, medical people there testifying, medical records, it was ridiculous.
Disappointing, not surprising, based on his record of, trying to be really conservative and moving the industry forward and really pumping the brakes throughout, legalization. But, definitely could have been designs for, his look at the presidency, but definitely disappointing, but not surprising, I'd say. Yeah.
I'm not going to be quiet about that if I see anybody, support him. Look.
Sure.
Well, I mean, he could make amends. He could say, maybe he could just say,
I think you
should come on to the Mighty Veedverks airship, former Governor Hickenlooper, because all you have to do is say, you know what, it seemed like the thing to do at the time, and I'm sorry about that. And now I understand that that was a mistake, and just move forward. And then maybe you could get this whole, but you have to make amends for that. That was a bad call. It hurt a bunch of kids, and you have to atone for that before the cannabis industry is going to get behind you. Like, we have a bone to pick about that. Because, I mean, it's like our Canna fam, those kids, the ones like Amber Wan's tuned in, Ben Wan testifying.
He did so good.
At the, and Amber testified too against 1076.
That's right.
You know who else testified against 1076 was, I won't drop names or anything, but I'm telling you that fog machine liquid's going to be a thing. We're actually going to make that. There will be like future product development. Like, it's so funny. But
it's amazing, actually. I love it. The fog machine.
When I was sitting there, I realized that one of the, there was the man and the woman, the co-sponsors. The guy was sitting on the left. He had a blue suit on, and I kept looking at him thinking, I know this guy. I think he owns like maybe he owns a home in my neighborhood or something like that. But and then he said his name is Colin Larson, State Representative Colin Larson, who represents he said South Jeffco, including like Ken Carroll and stuff, which is where I live. And finally it occurred to me that I know this guy. It was right after he said that he's a restaurateur in that area. And I was really embarrassed for him. And this is before I figured out who he was. But he said, yeah, a couple of times at my establishment near Chatfield High School, I just told people that it was against the law to smoke indoors, or to vape indoors. And it was a very cringeworthy moment. But my point in saying that is that the establishment, I realized that's the dude that started the coffee shop by my house. Like our neighborhood, like that's that same guy. And now he's a state representative. And so I was in there buying coffee, and I thought, and he doesn't own it anymore. I don't think. I think that he sold it. I think he's fully divested of it. But my point is, you walk into there, and they're got these big machines that are designed to take plant material and vaporize. I mean, one of the things that occurs in a coffee shop is it vaporizes all of these, coffee has a smell. You can smell it, right?
Well, they have it out, like if you're in a dispensary or if you're smelling perfume to smell coffee.
Yeah, everybody knows the smell of coffee. And you walk into a coffee shop and it smells like hell of coffee in there. All of this vapor flying out when they're steaming this milk and stuff.
I didn't even think about that.
And
that's a good point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, according to the last thing I've seen about House Bill 1076, is it said an electronic smoking device is any product that contains or delivers nicotine or any other substance intended for human consumption, and that can be used by a person to enable the inhalation of vapor or aerosol from the product. It includes any of that, any similar product or device, whether manufactured, distributed, marketed, or sold as an e-cigarette, e-cigar, e-pipe, e-hookah, or vape pen, or under any other product name or descriptor. And then it says that smoking means inhaling, exhaling, burning, or carrying any lighted or heated cigar, cigarette, or pipe, or any other lighted or heated tobacco or plant product intended for inhalation, including marijuana, which isn't about us. We're a hemp company. Hemp is cannabis sativa L with less than 0.3% delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol on a dry weight basis. That's what we do. We're a weed company, but the kind of weed we deal with has less than 0.3% delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol plus THCA. There's a conversion factor, but I'm saying that's not a good business idea. Is if you think, on a hemp plant or a marijuana plant, because it's all the same plant, that's mostly THCA, and so I'm just not. You could speak to that at great length, I bet.
I really can. And the problem is the huge disconnect between science and policy. Lawmakers are drafting these bills and passing these laws and not understanding what the ramifications are in the scientific things. Like this 0.3% THC on a dry weight basis sounds pretty clear cut, but really it's not. Like, how are you testing the plant? Are you testing different parts of the plant? Is it an aggregate thing? Is it what do we talk about concentrates? Because when you make a concentrate, the THC level concentrates. So there's lots of different factors that go into it that aren't so clear cut in the law. And that's where I think a lot of this confusion is. Let me give you an example. Like in Idaho, we've seen a case where a truck got pulled over full of hemp and it's been seized and the driver been arrested for, and apparently, I'm not an Idaho attorney, but apparently the law said that that if there's any amount of THC at all, it's going to be considered marijuana. And so they did a THC presence test. It was present, and so now they're moving forward on that, even though it falls under this 0.3. So how are we testing it? That's
Right.
It's very irritating a lot of times in my line of work. I do a lot of regulatory compliance work. So I help my clients who are grow facilities or infused products manufacturers or dispensaries comply with the rules that are foisted upon them, that are not just laws, but rules of the MED. And they're not clear. A lot of them are not clear. And so a lot of times I find myself fighting for definitions and just a little bit of clarity. What do you mean? What can and can't we do because there's such, terms are vague, like I said, the 0.3% THC issue, we didn't talk about, there's no standard way to test it. So how there's a room for error there, basically.
I think a lot of people would like for that to be tested with like liquid chromatography, something that doesn't decarboxylate the THCA as part of the testing. That would be an excellent way to define.
I will defer to you on that part because you are the expert in terms of testing and you have the knowledge
I'm not at all.
Well, you have the knowledge of those.
It's just this fine line, this game that everybody plays. You grow, you need it to be hemp.
Right.
But then as soon as you concentrate it, like you said,
right,
you start off with hemp that, let's be honest, 10% CBD hemp and 0.3% THC hemp. And then it goes through this extraction process that turns that CBD into, now it's not 10%, now it's say 40% crude extraction. And so your THC in that crude extraction right there is now, 1.2% THC? And that's a question that I was at, I think his name's Brad from the Plug Supply, at that meeting with CDA and CDPH, Colorado Department of Agriculture and Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. And Hoban put this thing together, and I think it was Brad from the Plug Supply asked him, like, so in Colorado, you have these jars that are concentrated, and those jars get further concentrated. Maybe it goes to another step of extraction where it gets turned into distillate, and now it's 80% CBD, and it's now 2.4% THC, but it's still a legal thing according to the Farm Bill. Just according to the Farm Bill, that's legal. All of the cannabinoids and extracts, all of that's legal, but you've got a jar that looks like honey and it behaves like honey. It'll like crystallize and then decrystallize just like honey. It's a super saturated type of thing with 80% CBD and 2.4% THC in it. And so we're not touching THC in our products for the foreseeable future, because like half this country has to piss in a cup for one reason or another, or they're under the threat of doing so. So they just don't want to mess with it. That's why we don't mess with it.
Even in Colorado.
Even in Colorado.
Anybody who drives a forklift could conceivably hit a shelf in a warehouse and cause an accident. Or maybe some other guy on their shift could do that and cause an accident, where HR is going to come make everybody who works in the warehouse piss in a cup. And if you're taking a legal, so like the producers have this 2.4% THC product that maybe you can turn it into isolate. So let's send it to another lab and get all the CBD out of it. And what you're left with now is this, they've got a whole bunch of THC now. It's like this game about not touching THC going across state lines. And so we're out of it. But a lot of people,
it's a problem in the market. It's not a problem in the market. It's reality. That's what happens in science when you guys are doing these, methods of processing and concentrating. And so we need to have the laws align with the fact that that's what happens. And that, guess what? Maybe 0.3, like it's an arbitrary standard. What What is 0.3 versus 3%? Comparatively, we don't know because we haven't had the research done. But that's something we really need to move forward on, because I think once there's some, research done in these areas, it's going to show that that we're just talking nonsense when we're coming up with these arbitrary limits on what a plant should have in it and what effects it may have on somebody. We just don't have that information. And so, I'm hopeful for the future. I think things are moving in the right direction, but it's challenging. It's challenging when the regulators don't necessarily think about the impacts on industry or think about various other topics. Like, I'll give you another example. Infused products manufacturers, making edibles or gummies or something like that. If it has marijuana in it, not a CBD company, but marijuana in it, it has to immediately be in a child-proof container. That means that you can't put it in a safety barrier for freshness, for food safety purposes, in between the food and the child-proof product. So it's like, do these regulations, they basically disincentivize people from making a food safe product. The rules don't address food safety. They are most focused on child-proofing and the concern that someone might throw the child-proofing container away and put the plastic bag in their pocket. And it's like, that is something we can't. Why are we legislating and making rules for what someone might do after they lawfully buy a product and it's their property now, versus it making sure it's safe for human consumption? And then, the biggest hypocrisy that we're seeing right now is like, that's what, I'm dealing with on the state side. Well, the FDA, with this, concern about CBD products, hemp-derived CBD products, just because we don't have any guidance from how they're going to interpret the laws and make legal pathways for hemp-derived companies to comply with the laws and move forward, instead of, working in the shadows like successful Colorado companies have had to do and continue to do. But, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I really admire the entrepreneurs in the industry who are charging forward, because now's the time. And, unfortunately, we're seeing these issues with the hemp being, seized in certain states. But I think we're going to get past that. It just takes a while. Some of my cases I deal with, I have clients who've had property seized by the Customs and Border Patrol or DEA. And so working with them on that, shipments coming in from China of packaging. What other issues I've seen? Postal service, package seizures. And so it's going to take a while before we have like all of these agencies on board. Training doesn't happen quickly. There's so low funding provided to the federal government for training people, retraining them. I mean, this is a sea change of laws that we're seeing happen. And unfortunately, I wish, even though it'd be exciting to have sort of a rush from the federal government that just deschedules marijuana, right? I mean, that's the goal. That would be exciting, but I just don't see, unfortunately, we're seeing this, pecking away at laws by state, city by city, decriminalization. And, it's just like pulling teeth, but that's what we're all used to, right?
It's the game.
It is the game.
And it's fun. I mean, it's exciting. Stressful. But I can't say it's any more stressful than being in the auto parts business. I mean, we just have a lot of different types of things to deal with, but you've got different things that we don't have to deal with. Like if you're like, we don't have to do anything with, say, like brake cleaner, right? We don't have anything like that here, and we don't have to deal with brake cleaner. But if you're in an auto parts cleaning business, you've got to comply with all sorts of, it's brake cleaner. It's nasty. Oil. Yeah. So every industry has its pains in the ass, but I see nothing but promise for this. Nothing but getting bigger. Like, I can't wait to.
Well, they do.
How come nobody's come out with a CBD toothpaste yet?
I don't know.
Like, I'm telling you, that's,
I want a
if
CBD toothpaste, and I want CBD underarm deodorant that doesn't have any of the bad stuff in it, with nothing but vitamins.
What's the CBD? Just make it.
Because that's where all your lymph nodes are.
Oh.
And women who get breast cancer, they're finding aluminum.
How about roll-on?
Well, yeah.
Roll
I
on.
would do it.
That'd be easy. Somebody go start it. There's
buy
the
that.
hemp business
Someone
idea of the day. The first hemp business idea of the day. Liquid, roll on, applicated.
I would buy it.
Maybe since you're really trying to do something healthy, maybe that would be a product that would have that 0.3% THC in the final product. Because you'd get that distillate, right? You'd get the distillate that's 80% CBD and 2.4% THC. And if you have any brain in your body, you won't ship anything that you make from that across state lines unless it has, once again, less than 0.3% THC in it. And by that time, it's going to be decarb, so there's not going to be THCA plus THC. But you got to dilute that back down with something, or else you're crazy. And we won't even, we just don't deal with it. We pay somebody between the distillate and when we get the isolate to deal with that THC problem. Just get rid of it and then give us that result, and then that's 0%. So when they have that test like you talked about in Idaho, a binary test, does it have THC in it? Then the answer is just no.
That's great.
But that's not how we started though.
Right.
We started with doing the 0.3. We took the THC out in June of 2017 because we just didn't want to play. But I mean, you could make superior products if you do that. If you how many times do you have to see that? With the addition of a little bit of THC, that CBD, I mean, it's just better.
Yeah.
It really is. And the terpenes matter a great deal as well. But I wish we could at least get it to that point where you could, where they would not have binary tests and they would have to test for the 0.3% THC. That would open up a lot of avenues.
Yeah, I think we're getting there, but it's going to be a problem for continuing for the industry. But you're right. Yeah, it would be better if we got a little more uniformity and clarity from the powers that be.
Yeah.
But until then, we just have to sort of wade through it. One thing I try to remember is the regulators are new at this too. We're all new at this. And so, they think they're doing the best by making all these regulations. And we see that, it's not working as best as it could be, and, helping more people. So, again, it's chipping away.
Well, the plastic is an environmental issue. Mm-hmm. Unless we can push forward on some manufacturing block grants and get it made out of hemp plastic and that sort of thing. But right now, because we're not there yet in the manufacturing, for supply and demand, it's so expensive.
Right.
And nobody can afford to do that.
Right.
And
it's just cost prohibitive.
Right.
And then just having access to capital, not being able to get a business loan to be able to make that jump is an added challenge that is just not necessary, because these companies, you guys are doing such good work and helping people. It's not just, a numbers game. Yes, there's a lot of money to be made in the industry, but the product is a good one. Right. So.
Well, and, they don't even think about things like, if you go with me, I can ask my pharmacist for non-child-proof caps, because I don't do child-proof is Julie-proof. Right. But I don't have that option at the dispensary.
Right.
And since they've changed the regulations and the RSO, the oil that I need to use, it's in a container I literally cannot get out because I have to twist it. So and I ended up breaking it every time and having to go get my money back and get another one. So, it's little things like that they don't realize that they're really handicapping people.
Right, how it has such a big impact on things.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's taking away that liberty. If I'm treating it like medicine, why can't I choose?
Right.
How I get it. If I'm telling you there's no children in my home.
Right. Yeah.
So. I have a little heart, you had sent me over everything, and this was so funny. you were talking about how you work with your organizations and your businesses, and you help. And I do the paperwork. You grow the weed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell my
That's
clients,
a good slogan.
let's stay in our lane. Yes. I mean, like I said earlier, how I defer to you on like your superior knowledge of the plant. Like, I'm behind the plant, I'm excited for it, but you guys are really the experts of the actual product. You know, I'm sort of the guide of in getting people through the system to be able to get where, you know, to become a successful business.
Right.
But yeah, it's you know, what I find when I work with clients is that if I sort of do things from the start and work with them from the beginning, or they bring me on kind of early, then you know, I can get the paperwork done right the first time. A lot of times people end up spending a lot more money because it takes more time to fix problems that they already dug themselves into in terms of the paperwork, whether that's like licensing paperwork or contracts, agreements with, you know, trying to get investors. And you know, the problem that I run into, and that sometimes people already negotiate terms of how they're going to get some financing from a private financier or something. And then they come to me and it's like, well, you know, certain aspects of the deal are not compliant, so we would have to, before that gets papered, you know, it just makes things easier if they knew the rules ahead of time. Come and talk with me, talk, you know, let's do a little bit of research about what you can and can't do, and then go into negotiations and figure out how you're going to strike a deal, because it's just it just flows more naturally that way. You know, you'll get where you want to go a lot quicker if we sort of just work together from the beginning. I try to see myself as part of a team with my clients, and so it's like, you know, they're handling the R&D and, you know, the product development and marketing and getting to market and coming up with excellent ideas and branding, and I'm always so impressed with what all my clients are working on. And I'm here to sort of help shepherd them through the process to make it all happen for, you know, the legalities of it, the licensing part, the partnership, or, you know, however they're going to set their business up, you know, contracts with vendors, contracts with marketers, you know, and just trying to operate under the rules that we have now. Like we were talking about earlier about how, you know, just like a mechanic, you know, have to deal with brake cleaner, you know, it's just an added, you know, on top of being an expert at automotive, you have to also know the rules and regulations and things like that. I mean, so it's extra work, and in this industry, it's so much extra, and it constantly is changing. And so that I try to take off of the plate of my entrepreneur clients and say, you know, you guys already have your hands full with everything. Let me sort of work on this boring legality part of paperwork that you don't want to do. And trust me, if I started growing the weed and you did the paperwork, like, it's all going to be messed up. You know, it's not a good thing. I do not have a green thumb. So they grow the weed, or they make the delicious edibles, or, you know, extracts or lotions and things like that. And I'll work on the paperwork.
Now, do you help them? I noticed in part of the thing that you did about building a team. And you're kind of team minded, you know, making sure you have the people in place to do the job. So if somebody came to you with a fabulous idea, is it like a one-stop shop? You can help guide them in that way, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. I try to be a resource for my clients for other things, give them, like, you know, recommendations on who to help them out with their books or their taxes, you know, push them in the right direction if they need certain types of compliance experts, or help with the design of the facility. I try to network and know those people and be a resource. So if clients ask me, like, you know, because let's face it, we can't all be everything.
No,
we can't all be experts at everything, and it doesn't make business sense to do everything yourself. It makes most business sense to delegate out everything you can that you're not an expert at, and really shine where you're going to shine. And when you have that system in place, then you know, rising tide raises all ships. So
how about like trademarking stuff, like copywriting stuff?
Right. Like, I don't handle that, actually, but I know other attorneys who do, and
but you're the person where when I want to do that, like, you're the one who handles it and gets it handled and then gets it back to me and says, now it's trademarked, you know. I'm
happy to help, and if I can't do it, I will link you up with an expert in the field who can. You know, one of my other passions, other than just being a marijuana attorney for businesses and hemp businesses, is I really want to teach other lawyers and law students to get into the cannabis industry, because I want to be able to say, not only do I have a trademark attorney to send you to, but I have 3 trademark attorneys who work with cannabis companies. And right now that market's just too small because most of the country is not where we are. And so it's just not a big market for cannabis attorneys yet. But I'm really trying. I made a webinar to teach other lawyers how to get into the industry depending on whatever they're doing. Like, I'm a business lawyer. I work with marijuana businesses. You know, there are family law attorneys out there who handle, you know, divorce or conflict cases and child cases. Cannabis law is going to impact those areas of law when, you know, as it's becoming more and more normalized.
Right.
You know, laws are changing. And so it's gonna help to have, for, you know, lots of clients who are dealing with those issues, you know, and cannabis is a factor. They should have an attorney who knows about cannabis and how it affects things and, you know, the legalities of it all. You know, estate planning, that's another thing that I really love working on, that helping people get their will and their estate plans in place. Well, guess what? In Colorado, you can legally have marijuana.
Working on wills?
I do. I'm such a dork. I know. Listen, I was an attorney in Florida. It's the capital of estate planning, right? So I started off doing wills.
My will, I wrote it when I was in Texas, and I wrote that what I wanted them to do was cremate me and put me on that second hill back in Keystone. Like, there's Keystone Mountain, then there's like the North Peak, like.
Well, you got to update your will, man. You live in Colorado.
I know.
Call me.
I totally want it updated so that it's not there. It's exactly on the top of this hill that I can see from my house now because I live in Colorado. But I hate wills. I can see how
I take care of people. I try to just take care of your problems. You don't want to deal with it.
Do you like working on your own will?
I mean,
No, nobody.
No.
But other people's wills.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I see the weight that comes off people's shoulders
That'd
when
be a good
when they have to sign it all, you know.
Oh,
the thing is, in Colorado, if you own a marijuana business, you can't just leave the business to your wife and kids.
Really? Oh, that's right, because it's unlicensed to one person.
Right. Well, not only that, but like, what if your kids are under 21? What if they don't qualify under law to own a marijuana business? Then what? Guess your estate planning attorney maybe should know about that, you know, and that's why I do that. But I also want other estate planning attorneys. That's why I'm talking at the Women's Estate Planning Council coming up in April. I want to introduce other attorneys to say yes to cannabis. I will embrace it. I will not look at it like it's any different than any other issue. And frankly, it is very unique in certain ways. You know, in Colorado, you have a constitutional right to grow marijuana. Your own personal marijuana. And so if you care enough to have a home grow, right, then you clearly care about cannabis. I mean, if you are growing cannabis at your home, you have tent or whatever, clearly it's something like you're passionate about. And maybe you don't want it to go to whoever if you have just a will that says to my wife and kids, maybe you want it to go to your best friend or your cousin or whomever, some other person, right? Who's over 21. I don't know if it's been tested in the probate courts yet here in Colorado, but I would encourage somebody to put in their will or an addendum to their will that they want to give an ounce of marijuana to such and such person upon their death. You know, maybe they have flower at their house. People don't think about this, right? But what would happen? Think about it.
Where would all the grow equipment go or something like that? You know,
right.
Who gets
and
that?
what if you just said, I give all of my stuff to my wife? What if she doesn't want that? But what if you were clearly very passionate about it to grow weed? And maybe you were really passionate about it with a friend of yours or a coworker or some other person. You should think about those things. And we have so long lived under tyranny and being scared of even admitting that we may own grow equipment, that nobody's going to put that in their will, right? But it's an important, and it's, guess what? That shit's not cheap. Excuse my language, but it's expensive. And so maybe it doesn't just get, it's something to address in your
will. How about this? I have tax stamps from Oklahoma and Kansas. I would like to bequeath these to my underage son. It's my stamp collection because these are...
put it in your will.
Put it in my will. But then I have to die, and I'm not going to, in order to test it.
Well, I recommend you give it to him in life. I think you should give I plan on trying to give everything away. If I'm going to die of old age, I'd rather just give it all away and see the looks on their faces when they get it than just leave it somewhere in my will. But that's me. I'm still going to have a will for all the leftover stuff then.
Yeah, what I need to will my.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually should. No, it's only worth $20, but you get the point. Is that it's a stamp collection, and these stamps are to, supposedly that'll like make something less of a bullshit felony in Kansas for up to 3.5 grams.
Can I see?
I bet there are laws against that, and that one's only for 1 gram for Oklahoma. I keep them in my wallet next to my driver's license.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ooh, gold one.
I found out my driver's license expired. I found out because I was going to this dispensary I've never been to. I was very excited about it. And
this is cool.
It's a Wolf Pack dispensary on Fredericksburg. Or not Fredericksburg, Federal. And, they carded me because it's all secure and said they couldn't let me in because it turns out my license expired on my birthday. So
happy birthday to you.
Well, thank you. So now, like today, what I've enjoyed is because I needed to go to the dispensary. So now I think I've had this lemon purple blue haze Gorilla Girl OG Diesel Sensi Kush is what I think. Because I'm running out. I ran out of weed. I went to buy weed and I didn't have any weed. So now it's just the shake from all these other types of weed. But
I knew there wasn't a science to it.
It's the first time I've ever really cared that my driver's license expired that I can remember. I don't know how, but
I'd be upset
live
too.
in a legal state. That's what happens. You got to
legal state with rules.
Yeah.
And crazy rules. You brought up something people don't think about is real estate. I was looking on here.
Yeah.
You have to say somebody was coming and say, oh, well, I want to open a dispensary and have my grow. They can't just go rent anything.
The first step is finding the location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like that with housing too. Every lease I've signed, everyone I've seen, it said no growing, no marijuana of any kind. And they can.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what about hemp? Let them keep calling it marijuana. Like, if we have to define it so that marijuana means cannabis sativa L with more than 0.3% delta 9, and if that's where they want to draw the law, then they can write all sorts of marijuana laws. And the next question is going to be every time, what about hemp then?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like they did in this House Bill 1076. It says plant material, including marijuana. But it doesn't say anything about hemp. Hemp just falls under plant material. That's why I'm concerned about like the plant material and this new Veedverks brand electronic smoking device. It is a lighted or heated instrument that is used to vaporize.
So poorly drafted.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can sell these in that coffee shop where they just blast it full of coffee molecules. What if I make a coffee scented candle with CBD in it?
Excellent.
What if I...
Now that sounds really neat.
What if I start a company that takes like Flora's Mercantile tea and it blasts it through that same exact apparatus at that coffee shop that Representative Colin Larson owned or started, no longer owns. I think it's an awesome coffee shop. I'm not talking smack on the actual business, but I'm just saying that you couldn't expect anybody to have these conversations before. I'm not mad about any of this. It's just like these new, we have to establish all, like you said, we have to establish all of these new little rules.
It's just frustrating when there's so much pushback.
Yeah. Well, we have a whole new crew. We have new legislators representatives to educate.
Right.
And some of the things I am shocked at the level of knowledge that they do not have.
Wow. Right.
That's
why what you're doing is so important, because it's education and people need to know about this instead of just blindly making decisions.
Right. I would expect this type of ignorance to what's really going on to be in my state from Louisiana, not in Colorado. And that's another mistake a refugee has. They think everybody likes it and everybody's okay with it. Well, no.
Right. Right.
It's not.
Definitely not. Yeah.
No.
It's so true about that. I'm from Florida, and people think that people are just smoking bongs on the corner here. It's like, no.
Yeah.
There is opposition.
Yeah, and a lot of it.
A lot of it.
And, we're finding this out, with, there's a limited amount of places you can go and consume. They're completely throwing away their tourism dollar because the word is getting out. Don't go to Colorado. You can buy it. Right. You just can't consume it.
And that's a concern. That's a huge concern for constitutional reasons. Like, we have a state constitutional right to be able to have access to marijuana if you're over 21 or if you have a medical card. But you have no place to exercise your constitutional freedom. How is that right? It's just a big disconnect.
Well, I know that at the hearing for 1076, Michael Polanski from Dean Ween's Honey Pot Lounge testified about how they had put all of this effort into building this new business that, like Dean Ween from the band Ween, he's gonna open a consumption lounge in Denver,
right?
And it's
music
going to be
venue, right?
a music venue. And I guess when Ween's not on tour, he'll perform with nice. Cover bands and whatnot, and it's awesome. It's going to be a sweet social consumption spot. But they, in the hearing, that language obviously just makes all the plans. Like, the plan is to be able to go in there and vape.
Well, yeah. What's so frustrating is, let's real talk here. People vape everywhere. They vape in bars. They vape in. They're just doing it illegally. So why are we not just addressing reality here and try to just add reasonable regulations on what's already happening? Because it's just basically forcing people to do illegal things because they're going to do it anyway.
Well, yeah.
And so that's the problem, is that we're clamping down. I'm part of this organization called the Social Use Avengers, socialuseavengers.net.
Social Use Avengers.
Yeah, I think it's .net. Might be .com.
Man, if this turns out if you go to whitehouse.not.
Oh, no, it shouldn't do that.
Socialuseavengers.net.
Social Use Avengers, yeah. We're just a bunch of cannabis professionals who are dedicated to trying to get more licensees under Denver's social consumption. What the big problem with this state law as well is that, Denver is the only city in the country that has this program, pilot program for people to have social, consumption places. And if this law passes, it's basically going to cause that whole program to be moot because people, or already moot than it practically is. It's been around for 2 years and only 2 licensees, one of which closed down after a few weeks. So, there's a big problem with how Denver has kind of taken over from the people. The people voted for it to be implemented a certain way. And it was so limited by the rules and regulations that the Denver licensing have put upon it that hardly anybody is applying for it. And we're still not really seeing any movement forward, even though there was legislation that said, let's have social consumption places. Let's have a spa. Let's have a amazing music venue, let's do these cool things. And we're not, it's like they're just throwing up roadblocks before it can even get off the ground.
Right. Yeah. Well, they keep telling us there's a hospitality bill. We haven't seen it.
What's it going to say about fog machine liquid? Just regular fog machine liquid. It's not just regular fog machine liquid, it's superior fog machine liquid. If you ever buy fog machine liquid for Halloween or something like this, this is way better. Trust me, it'll set off your smoke alarms. It is so thick. It's great fog machine liquid. Are they going to ban that? And then,
right?
Did they just ban fog machines? That's one of the exemptions that And then if they ban fog machines, how about this? With the Veedverks new CBD and terpene infused fog machine liquid. It's a real product. We're really going to put it in a place. I heard this thing on NPR over the weekend about quinceanera parties, like Sweet 15.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not thinking about the CBD and terpenes, but I thought, man, if you're going to have a quinceanera party and you've got a fog machine and you don't have Veedverks brand fog machine liquid in it, that's trust me, you could do better. But also as it relates to House Bill 1076 is what if I put CBD and terpenes in it? So that was one of the main things that I asked them, and I'm still waiting to hear.
Yeah. Well, and they, tried to say that they didn't see vaping as a medical device. And so me, as an adult epilepsy patient, went to see them several times, then went back with several advocate friends of mine. And then we all show up and, and it's not just for epilepsy, but it helps control neuropathy pain. It helps PTSD to have a vape like what we sell,
Right. Yeah, the great hypocrisy is that states like Florida say only vaping is medicinal and flower is not medicinal, and edibles.
What if you're vaping flower though? What if you have
so there's doctors recommending vapes in Florida, and then politicians in Colorado saying
volcano device. Mm-hmm. It's the most medical way that you could probably consume cannabis. Really, you just like a volcano device that it blows hot air through bud and fills up a bag optionally or a tube, and it's just like pure vapor. That's vaping for sure, and that's it's just they don't understand what they're talking about.
They really don't.
What if I
quashing innovation?
What if I make this
frustrating?
What if I put coffee scent in this fog machine liquid and I blast it out at a coffee shop? Is that going to be
right.
okay?
It sounds like you might need a license for that. Frustratingly, I mean, it even said? Can we look at the definition again? Did it just say plant matter?
Mm-hmm. Nicotine and plant matter.
Or any other substance.
Any substance intended for human consumption.
Vapor or aerosol, which is that's vapor, aerosol.
You have an excellent point.
And
you better not think about putting peppermint oil in an essential oil diffuser.
And they talk about, trust me, go look at this. I had this, one time I was mixing terpenes for our Amelia's soothing lotion. It's awesome lotion. You should go get some, Veedverks.com. But I was starting to do this mix where the soothing lotion has the main terpenes in it are linalool and humulene and myrcene, right? And it's specific amounts of each, and I was not paying attention as much as I should have, and I accidentally put in humulene when I meant to put in myrcene, and so I had just tons of money in these 8-dram vials of that just say linalool humulene fuck up, and so I've just had these. I can't do anything with them, right? Except, another electronic smoking device under this would be one of those plug-in air fresheners. Right. And so I bought one of those and I emptied it out and cleaned it out and poured just pure terpenes into it, and
it was lovely.
It was outstanding.
I bet it was.
Let me smell it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great product, and it's plant-derived terpenes. Or any other substance.
Right, intended for human consumption.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere in here it defined it as plant material. I think in the smoking. Oh,
well, at least it says human consumption. There's a lot of rules and regulations that I'm trying to get some clarity on. There's no clarity right now on whether a dispensary can sell a product for an animal, like a dog. Doesn't say you can't.
Yeah.
But doesn't say you can. This bill says human consumption, but this is unrelated because it's about consuming on the property. But simple clarity issues like whether it's for humans or not,
right,
is what we're dealing with right now in regulation. But hopefully we are moving forward. They're realizing holes and gaps in the laws, but they're also creating 5 more by essentially outlawing every item for human consumption through any other substance. Yeah.
My favorite saying in the cannabis industry is it sounds like a whole lot of solution and not enough problem. Yeah, because it's just, they want to regulate it, regulate it.
I'm smoking this right now because it says smoking includes carrying.
Oh, you're carrying.
I'm definitely smoking this right now. This electronic smoking device.
You're vaping it right now.
Veedverks electronic smoking device. It's fire powered. They're also actually what it really is cannabolish candles, which we sell on our website.
Yes.
They're awesome candles, trust me.
Yeah.
In fact, I bought this. We were out. People were going through a lot of them. And so I went to Marley's
You went and got that
on
one?
Broadway, and I bought their last 2 candles.
Nice.
Because I wanted to slap that sticker on there and explain to them that they're going to ban. It's poorly written. It says smoking means carrying, and it says that includes the use of an electronic smoking device, which is a term so broad that it affects like these plug-in air fresheners. Like that, tell me that's not an electronic smoking device. Or let me put terpenes, I'm telling you, this linalool humulene fuck up batch right there, put it in that device, it's awesome. It's amazing. And what if I then put CBD in it? They spat out all this in their,
it could be better.
It could be better. Sorry to keep coming back to that. I'm not done fighting. They voted to move it forward to the full House 10-1.
So
and
call
I feel like,
your representatives.
Yeah.
Well, just look at the products that I kid you not, coming out with. This is an awesome candle, this cannabolish candle. What if I can talk them into, I'll ship them some CBD isolate and they'll put it in those candles, and then I'll sell them as new Veedverks brand electronic smoking device. That'd be a cool product, right? They wrote it too broadly. They presented it as if they were trying to curb teenage vaping, which I'm totally for.
Sure. Absolutely.
But then everything they said after that, and including this bill that they wrote doesn't have anything to do with that problem that they said that they were trying to solve. And it's just, I'm telling you, I told them it's going to get complicated, because right now I'm currently smoking 20 electronic smoking devices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was the guys they applied this under. It's, this is for teenage smoking. So I sent them a bunch of links to the city of Lakewood, and how what they've done is do what they did with cigarettes, is they put it behind the counter, out of sight. You have to ask for it, where that has proven with statistics to slow down teenage smoking. Why not do that?
Effective,
and
right?
It puts it in the law's already written. It's against the law for an 18-year-old to buy it.
Right.
So why are we doing this if it's not for that? That's something that works. That's something that's already in place. And so let's, and then they go, oh, no. Well, it's more than that. It's about my rights. And I'm like, well, okay, what about my right?
Right. It's bias. It's just bias. That's where it's coming from.
Well, and it forces, us to be breaking the law. If, somebody has a panic attack and has one of our indica pens and hits it, and maybe they're in a public situation, nobody is going to be offended by that. But,
less offensive at least than cigarette smoke or other, perfumes. Right. Offensive smells.
How about, these things. It's like, it took a while for the wick to run out of this gross stuff that they sell tons of. There's a huge chunk of the supermarket aisle that's selling
every
these
supermarket,
things.
right?
Yeah, like it. But once it finally cycled through and we burned through all that, and all it was just, a pure linalool and humulene, it started to smell awesome. Like, you'd want to, tweak it and stuff. It's still overbearing because it's pure terpenes, but
it was rough. It smelled really, really good, and then you're like, okay, let's
really
turn it down. It was powerful.
Yeah, they're powerful molecules. They do all sorts of great things. You put them in lotion, and they help with the absorption of molecules like CBD through the skin.
And I would much rather smell like that than smell like mentholatum and that sort of thing.
And they dissipate quickly. I mean, because they're just ethereal little chemicals or molecules they're why roses smell like roses. I mean, it's all terpenes. But like terpenes that like say menthol in a typical pain relieving cream would be listed on the label as a counter irritant, but it's just the absorption enhancer. And then the methyl salicylate or the wintergreen smelling stuff is the analgesic, the painkiller. But like there are tons and tons of terpenes, and they all do very interesting things just in and of themselves, including helping with like topicals that include terpenes. That's not new science. That's
right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could have come out. What's funny is that now it doesn't even matter for topical pain relievers. Anything that's got like these salicylates in them, or a capsaicin or anything, like CBD is way better than that. Mm-hmm. And
do need more research on it.
It's going to disrupt that industry.
Right.
It's like they don't know what's coming.
Right.
I have 4 of the lidocaine big patches, 4 huge boxes of these things.
Yeah.
And I don't even use them. I'm thinking, I'm testing how many boxes it's going to take to go through 1 bottle of my Amelia. Because I only can use 1, so I either have to put them on my hands or put them on my back.
Okay.
Whereas I can put CBD all over my body.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about my animals or a child getting any cross-contamination. And, that's huge,
Right.
They tell you to keep those patches out of everybody's reach. And I'm like, okay, but I can, you want me to stick them to my body?
Right.
Right.
But,
That's going to be one of the first industries to have to contend with CBD. And they're gonna have to do it this year as the topical pain relievers. Mm-hmm. Guess what? We're coming. There are tons of great CBD topicals. Like we make one of those. Ours has particular things that some people like over. We don't have a balm. Some people want balms. There are great balms out there that are just so much better than
what you're forced to buy at
any of these things that
pharmacy.
That whole section of the store.
I like arnica too.
Gonna get taken
and arnica
out.
and CBD love each other. And really bad times, I go and get an arnica CBD blend that I really like. Yeah. So you've got some cool stuff going on. On the 16th, you're discussing the Farm Bill, and that's in Florida.
Yeah, I'm
at the
Florida.
Florida Hemp Hootenanny.
Yeah.
Frostproof, Florida. That sounds great. Well, we have a lot of people from Florida that's here in Colorado that go back and forth.
Oh, excellent.
What is it like, other than they've got, you have to vape for medicine, other than that, are you excited about Florida, or are you
Florida legalized in November of 2016, and I had a baby 2 days later, and I said, you know what, I'm going to wait till Florida gets their act together, and they still haven't quite gotten their act together. They've opened dispensaries, but it's a totally different system. I like that they have delivery. I think that's important for homebound and, a homebound patients.
Oh, yeah.
I think there are patients, or rather doctors who will come to your house to do, a home evaluation so I think there's a lot of good things about the program. I think from the business perspective, there's a lot of bad things about the program. But it's a step in the right direction. At least there's cannabis growing in Florida, which is exciting. Not the same, unfortunately, not the same due respect to hemp in Florida. They have a pretty tough program. Hoping we'll see a lot of change for hemp products down there.
Nikki Haley, isn't that her name?
Yeah, Nikki Fried.
Nikki Fried, yeah.
She's definitely a hemp advocate, and
but she just put out this.
I don't know if we'll see.
You don't think that's true?
I don't know. I'm reserved.
I read multiple times that she put out this memo that said that they were going to take CBD products,
CBD, right.
or CBD food, at least,
right.
off the shelves.
I want to talk about
Florida.
that. I definitely want to talk about that. And that goes back to what we very first started about the FDA and us not having any guidance and Congress asking and giving the FDA 10 days. And now we don't have a commissioner and who knows if we're going to get any guidance. But if she did in fact write those memos, then it's not out of line with what New York City did, what
Which
Maine
wasn't
did,
right.
what Ohio did, right, what California does for the longest. I agree it may not be right, and it sounds like they're taking that conservative view toward things, and I think it makes no sense, and it hasn't borne out that it's caused harm yet. We're only seeing stories of them ripping it off shelves. We're not hearing stories of people having terrible reactions to them while they were on the shelves, right? You're not.
No.
It's reacting to a problem. It's a solution to a problem we don't have.
Right.
So that's the only reason I could, if she did in fact do it, was to jump on that bandwagon. I agree. But hey, listen, a lot of people are giving the governor down there a lot of credit for saying, legislators, you need to give up the smoking ban. So down in Florida right now, there's a ban on smoking. They have to vape. Okay. And so there was a judge who struck that down and said, no, that's not what the people of Florida voted for. They voted for their medicine. And if they want to smoke it, then they have the right to do that. What happened? The former governor immediately appealed, and it's been sitting at the Court of Appeals right now. So does this governor have the ability to right now drop that lawsuit? Yes, he does. But instead, he just said, I'm going to drop it unless you do something. He's giving the legislature the opportunity to do the right thing. No, the right thing would be to follow that judge's order and drop the appeal, because that judge made the right decision by the people of Florida, that they deserve their medicine in the way that it's best for them,
right,
and that the smoking ban is unconstitutional. That's where that would be the right thing to do. And so unfortunately there are patients in Florida suffering as a result, because maybe that's not the best method for them vaping necessarily. Maybe they should have just broader options.
Yeah.
More topicals, more edibles, more flower strains, more like we do here in Colorado, where people have the opportunity. For the most part, we're chipping away again at laws, getting PTSD, getting the opioid, the autism, adding to these debilitating medical conditions for people to get medical cards. But, we need to make better access for patients and do the right thing. So I don't want to believe that she is doing that. I think I want to attribute it also to that disconnect between local law enforcement and not having the guidance to know whether they should be telling stores to take the products off the shelves or not. They're not getting any guidance either. So it's just a shit show, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We're just right in the middle of it.
Well, it's happening in Illinois too. One of our salespeople was talking to me this morning about how they just raided the shop, and it was a health and wellness shop, just ripped things off the wall. And
the people who are doing those raids think they're doing the right thing, but I don't think, it's not clear, and, we should not be criminalizing harmless behavior.
Right. Right.
And helpful behavior, frankly.
I always find myself thinking, when, there's some politician like this Governor Noem or whoever in South Dakota, that's trying to get in the way of hemp. I just always think that at some point in your life, if something doesn't kill you first, you're going to get cancer. And then you're going to Google your cancer, and you're going to come to the conclusion that, holy crap, maybe I should start changing my mind a little bit, at least reading about cannabis. Mm-hmm. And so every time I see somebody it was in the news today that John McCain's daughter had said that maybe he would have lived longer if he would have used cannabis. And I totally, that's what I think every single time. Or with Alex Trebek.
Yeah.
Right.
Pancreatic cancer.
Stage 4.
What is cannabis? You've got stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It's inoperable. Even if it is operable, they're going to cut you wide open, all the way open. And you're not gonna, it'll take you 3 months for that wound to even heal. And then they're gonna strap you into a chair and they're gonna pump this medicine into you that causes your cells to stop replicating. And they're gonna, they can't start it until the wound heals, because your body stops healing once they start putting this stuff into you. And then hopefully they'll kill, this stage 4 cancer that you've got before it just, you need your cells to keep replicating. Your hair is going to fall out because you don't grow new hair stuff. Your everything's going to fall out. It's going to stop working. That's, or you could Google cannabis and learn that THC kills cancer cells through at least two ways, one including apoptosis, and it spares healthy cells. In fact, it makes the healthy cells healthier. So Alex Trebek, what is cannabis? That's your only, and the reason why I speak about this so authoritatively, it sounds right now, is because my dad has pancreatic cancer right now, and he's doing that. And also his mom, my grandma, died from it. And so I don't like my chances, and I think about it a lot. I don't like my chances. I think if something else doesn't kill me first, I'm going to get pancreatic cancer, and it sucks. It sucks. It hurts. And the surgery hurts, and it might kill you. And the chemo, it's terrible. And so what I would do if I were you, Alex Trebek, is to look into cannabis, because we haven't been lying this whole time. No shit, it kills cancer cells, and I consider that. Do you know any jokes?
Message.
Yeah.
That was a heartfelt message. I mean,
yeah.
Cannabis affects everyone in this country, good or bad. Living in Colorado, you hear these amazing stories of how it's saving people's lives.
Yeah.
And so, the research will bear that out, I truly believe, but we need, it's got to move forward, and we need the laws to stop getting in the way of that, because we need the research to back up what we know to be true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that we see every day.
Well, and, the no side effects. I can't decide if what I take for my spinal conditions and the side effects is it also controls my epilepsy, or do I take it for my epilepsy and also controls? That's my side effect.
Right.
It takes care of, I don't take Lyrica for nerve pain. I don't take opiates of any kind. I don't take muscle relaxers. I don't, none of that. But, and while I'm at it, I don't take any of the neuromeds either. So, people, I think, I'm seeing different attitudes more and more. Mm-hmm. I have 3 great doctors that are so pro.
That's
and,
awesome.
More and more we're seeing that in the young adults. The millennials are now, they already know what we know.
Right.
And they're going forward. And so I think the future's bright. I really do.
I agree.
You're speaking, if we want to come and see you and not go to Florida.
Right.
You're going to be at the Denver Women of Cannabis networking event.
Yes, at Nuvolution.
At Nuvolution, and I will definitely be there.
Excellent.
But you're doing something, and I heard you speak on this. I think this is the first time I heard you speak at, you were talking about women's, how to set yourself up and protect yourself as a woman.
Yeah.
We do something in the same, I always use my maiden name as my middle name.
Okay.
Start there if you're
Right.
going to start anywhere. Make sure you have your own credit and what have you. But this one is going to be on estate planning and council presentation on marijuana laws.
Yeah.
And the considerations of an estate plan. And that's kind of what you touched on a few minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I plan on talking to and that's part of trying to educate other lawyers and just see if there's an interest, if they're interested in expanding the scope of their services, because I focus on businesses. I also provide estate planning services for marijuana business owners, because I think it's very important. But it just happens that most of my work is on the business side of things. But there's going to be women estate planning attorneys and trust advisors and financial people and people who touch a lot more people than just marijuana industry folks. Like I work mostly with marijuana industry folks, but they're going to touch all these other folks, and they should be able to provide that information and say, okay, well, do you have any cannabis assets that you would want your, to go to somewhere, one in particular? And it's not such a stigma to just not address it because it was previously illegal, and who would think to leave something like that, in their will to somebody? But now that's the state law, and that's what we're living under. So it's things that people didn't even think about, I think, when cannabis was legalized, that it really touches on so many things. People wonder a lot of times, what does it mean to be a cannabis business attorney? Well, it means like commercial real estate, like we talked about earlier.
How about pesticides?
I can provide some information about pesticides and help work with the Department of Ag about that. But I usually refer one or two compliance consultant women entrepreneurs that I know who are really have their finger on the pulse of what's going on with those specific regulations, and that's what they focus on day in and day out. Yeah. So again, it's just trying to be a resource to my clients. I know I can't do everything, and I don't want to do everything. I have a family. I have 2 small kids. I like to, not work 100 hours a week, and so there's certain things that I want to do in my business, and that's why I think it's really important for the takeaway too. Companies like yours, identify what you're good at and do what you're good at, really provide, put your best foot forward and provide what you want to provide for your people and who your ideal clients and, what you want to do. And so that's why I just stick to what I want to do, which is that, the cannabis business work, helping entrepreneurs get their idea, their concept to reality and, flourishing and growing in this new industry and making it more normal, just making it like a normal company, treating them that way, because so many other facets of life don't treat you like a normal company when you're working in the industry. There's still a big stigma out there. So that's what I'm trying to break down and make and normalize. And so, teaching mainstream attorneys to consider the cannabis aspects and that they even exist. There's a thing out there that, so that it's just all about education and getting the word out to other, other people.
And you're getting a good response from it?
I think so. Yeah. They were really excited that I'm going to come talk to the Women's Estate Planning Council. I think there's a lot of intrigue. People are just interested. And so, at the end of the day, I'm still an attorney, a business attorney who writes contracts all day. I just happen to write contracts about weed companies and weed. It's not all sexy work all the time, but it's definitely, I feel like I'm doing the right thing, helping companies in this emerging industry who are the trailblazers, who are moving this stuff forward, at the infancy of these products becoming mainstream.
Well, starting a business in general and the legalities is overwhelming.
It is.
But with all the extra that goes along with this
right. Yeah, so that's what I try to take off of people's plate and make one less thing to do and think about, And it's fascinating and different and interesting.
Well,
how much does it cost to call? No, you don't have to say how much it costs, but do you have clients who just call you because they have a bunch of ideas and they just want to have you like, how about this, like a robot that goes between rows of hemp and it uses some kind of sensors to detect whether it's a male or not, and
that's an excellent idea.
And it just kills the males, and it's like with a laser or a knife or something like that.
I like the idea. I could tell you whether it's legal or not, and then I would refer you to a patent attorney who would help you protect your idea. And I could help you set up the company that's going to own the IP and do the licensing contracts to license out the
Would I start a whole nother company to do it?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, how about this fungicide? It's a fungicide.
This is not legal advice on the blimp, FYI.
But I want to call it Milnope. And like instead of the Geico Gecko, just imagine this commercial. There's a grow, and it's got all these white powdery mildew and botrytis, and they call in a consultant, and he's wearing like a backpack with a parachute pack with a D ring on it on the front, and the guy looks at it and he goes, and he pulls this ring out, and out jumps this jackalope, steampunk jackalope, and he's got this big spray gun, and he goes, "Oh, Milnope," and
you're giving out all your good ideas here on the blimp.
No, they're already. It's too late for you to come. You come up with a new idea. Work on the robot, because I'm just not in the robot
we
business.
challenge people.
So these are. I mean, you're just putting your best out there.
Go
as an
start a
attorney,
company.
I would recommend a
Baby
non-disclosure
diapers.
No, go start a company.
Baby diapers.
Hemp baby diapers.
Go start a company,
where they-
America.
instead
Go
of
start a
being
hemp company
400
and
years
go get it legalized in your state.
biodegradable.
Sure.
Go make a toothpaste,
I mean,
for goodness
If it
sakes.
works,
Go.
I say do it.
Go.
Be soft.
If you own a toothpaste company, listen to me. Put 100 milligrams of CBD in that toothpaste and charge retail 5 times more than the CBD costs you. And if you work it out on paper, everybody along the way makes money, and it will be a great toothpaste. It will make it so that go to the dentist and they're doing the gum probe, like they start saying like new numbers the next time after. CBD is a great anti-inflammatory.
What about a mouth rinse?
Mouth rinse. Go start a mouth rinse company. Ideas are easy to come up with, but it's whether you can go execute it.
Yeah.
Whether you can go execute it, which includes getting your act together when it comes to you got to have a lawyer. And you have to
set it up.
But it's
right
the same with
time.
any small business. And
Right.
like, I encourage you to start a hemp business. Think of something. All of these new things. How about that THC? So you're going from the distillate to the isolate, and these people who make the isolate, surely the THC doesn't just disappear. It ends up somewhere. And I've heard of people having to plow it into the ground because they didn't know what else to do with it. But what if you just take that and do some kind of process, like blow some gas through it or something, and then turn that into CBN? How about that? There's a whole business right there. Somebody go do that. I would love to go do all of these things, but
There's
only so much time. Right. All we can do is make awesome cartridges and e-liquids. Next time I want to play that review. We got a video review on YouTube from who I wasn't prepared with that, but it was amazing.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Yeah, he said that our e-liquid was the best e-liquid he'd ever had, and he's a big time YouTube reviewer. That was awesome.
That was
to see that today.
Yeah, that was a good thing to get into my mailbox.
Yeah.
Like, wow. So.
The robot, we'll call it he who walks between the rows. And it uses detects pheromones or some sort of they have all this facial recognition. Just take enough pictures of hermaphrodite plants and pollen sacs and stuff and feed it into Google, and just knife, laser, sound. You could use sound. Focus sound
Just go
blast.
through and pick them up.
Yeah.
Pick up all the males.
It would be somebody's gonna have to invent that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
I like shows where we come up with ideas.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
I like it.
We could probably sit there and think about things, because, if you think about your house, anything that's plastic, anything that's fibrous,
Yeah.
everything.
It's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here at this time and seeing it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the Mighty Veedverks Airship.
Yeah,
This has been a wonderful, fun conversation.
I agree.
Hopefully I didn't go on. Felt like I was ranting there a couple of times. But I know Alex Trebek, I'm telling you, Google it. Google patent number. How about this? One last thing to tell you guys is that have another family member who's got late stage Alzheimer's disease, and they're old enough that it's too late for
intervention. Yeah.
But the U.S. government has a patent on cannabinoids as neuroprotectants and antioxidants. It's patent number 6630507. You should Google it. If you have somebody who has Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or even traumatic brain injury, like go Google that patent 6630507. They've known for tons of, like, I think since like the early 90s that cannabis shouldn't be on Schedule 1. To be on Schedule 1.
But they knew it since Nixon. They don't want it.
We're going to end this.
Or they didn't want it, but we're going to end this.
And we're going to make a ribbon that is the campaign medal ribbon for winning for campaign for victory, for winning this this war against marijuana. And then after that, guess what? We know you lied to us big time about that plant. And there's a couple others that we're going to start working on next, because not all of what they told us was true. I wish that's what sucks, is that some of what they told us about drugs was straight up true. Like, some drugs are not good for you. But this one, they just told us the opposite of everything. They told us that it decreased your sperm count. Now it turns out it actually increases it. It's like they couldn't have told us anything less true about cannabis. And so now you start to question everything else they told us. But some of it was right.
Well, like what? In the back of the 40s and 50s when cigarettes first came out, doctors recommended
it was good for you, right?
You know?
The T-zone.
Yeah, go ahead and relax, have one.
Yeah.
You know? So, whoops, now you have lung cancer.
Right.
Well, anyway, I think that's...
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, yeah.
Tune in tomorrow at 10:30. I'll be here with Michael Miller from Panacea Life. New York Senator Diane Savino is going to be on. She represents Brooklyn. So and she's a big advocate for the plant. And so we're doing a special day just because we got to accommodate her schedule. Right. And then I kid you not, Vicente Fox is going to be on soon, like soon. It was heartbreaking to not pull that off 2 Tuesdays ago, but we're still working on it. And that's if you haven't seen his videos, go watch them. And if you haven't seen your videos, you have a YouTube channel.
I do. Rachael Ardanuy, yeah.
I'm going to post that link in a second. So.
Okay, we'll make sure the links are all in there.
And we have a YouTube channel you should subscribe to, please. Yeah. We're finally getting caught up uploading these videos too.
And on the 14th, that's when we go back for the autism bill. So that's next week on a Wednesday. And then Thursday, we have Jim Barry with Weed Wipes.
Nice.
So I forgot to tell you, bring in some dirty glass. We're going to do some online presentation. He's going to show us how that works. So non-toxic way to clean your apparatuses.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. And I am Travis Lippert, CEO of Veedverks Unlimited Limited, reminding you that if you don't get hemp here, get hemp somewhere.